Hello everybody and welcome back to SkySaga Alpha 10. Today we are going to be talking about some of the most critical and important little Lumo webs that you can build here in SkySaga Alpha 10. So these are the rising and falling edge pulses. Now I have talked about these in Alpha 9, but I'm redoing this video because A, these things are very important and I use them in almost every build, and 2, my knowledge of how these things work and what they do has kind of upgraded and changed a little bit since Alpha 9. So there is nothing at all different about the rising edge circuit, but there is a little bit different about the falling edge circuit, and we'll talk about why all of that stuff is necessary in a second. But to start with, we'll talk about what these things are. So a rising edge circuit basically sends out one tiny little quick Lumostone pulse every time an input is turned on, and a falling edge circuit does almost the opposite. It sends a tiny little pulse when a Lumostone input is turned off. Now these two things are very important, and they can mean, especially the falling edge circuit, they can mean that you can trigger something new to happen when somebody stands off something or turns off a switch, or something finishes happening where like a light has been on for a whole second or whatever, and then when the light is turned off you can trigger a new thing to happen using the falling edge circuit. Now just as a quick demonstration, this pressure pad is hooked up to both the rising edge and the falling edge, so if I stand on here, these lights will go very quickly. They'll get one tiny little pulse, and so will the dart turret in the center. It will fire a single dart. Here we go. So they get a very tiny little pulse, and the dart turret fires exactly once. Now if I stand backwards off again, then this circuit over here is going to fire, because this is the falling edge pulse. So this will turn off, the falling edge pulse will trigger, and all three of those things will happen again. Here we go, 3, 2, 1. There we go. Tiny little quick pulse, tiny flash of the lights, and one shot of the dart turret. So there you go, that's what these things are and what they do. Now, the rising edge pulse has not changed since Alpha 9, so we're going to have a quick look over here and I'll show you what you need to build all of this stuff. It's in the top of my inventory up here. So the first thing, to build a rising edge pulse, you just simply need a NOT gate and an AND gate. To build a falling edge pulse, per falling edge pulse, you need 2 NOT gates and a single AND gate, and then also once per island that you have falling edge pulses on, you need a NOT gate and an AND gate as well. So these we'll talk about in a second, but they're basically protection for this falling edge gate. And then of course you're going to need an input and an output, which I've got over here. So we're going to start by placing down our input and output. So this is my input here, I'm just going to place that there, and I'm going to place my output up over here. And we're going to build quickly the rising edge pulse. So the rising edge pulse is the one that sends a quick pulse when something gets turned on for the first time, and that is simply by placing down one NOT gate and one AND gate, just like this. And then the connections are really simple. The input goes into both the NOT gate and the AND gate. So it goes into there and it goes into the A side of this AND gate over here. And then we're going to run the NOT gate into the B side of that AND gate, just like that. And then we're going to run this AND gate out into here, into the output. So the output comes out of this AND gate here. So basically, the way this works, as that pressure plate gets turned on, there is a very brief moment where the NOT gate hasn't updated itself yet, and it's still on, and the AND gate is getting an on from this pressure plate, so it sends out a very brief, quick little pulse to the light. And I'm not sure if you guys are going to be able to see that on the recording or not, because it is very fast, but it does actually work, and it will shoot lights or whatever you hook it up to will get a very quick single little pulse, just like that. Now, the falling edge pulse is a little bit different. So it starts out kind of the same in the fact that you place down a NOT gate out the back, and then you place down one more NOT gate. So this is kind of in the place of this AND gate, essentially. And then, because we need protection on this circuit, we also then need to place an AND gate in front of all of those things. So to hook this up, you run your input into both NOT gates. Here we go, one NOT gate there, and one NOT gate there. Then you run the back NOT gate into the front NOT gate, just like this. And then the front NOT gate goes into the A side of this AND gate. So this AND gate is kind of running as our protection for this circuit, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But first we need to finish the wiring here. So this AND gate needs to go into the output, just like that. So the reason we need this protection is actually the same thing we need it for in the counter, or the same something we talked about in the counter. If you haven't seen the counter video, that's also out today. I'll leave a link in the description down below. But basically what happens here is that when the island loads, both NOT gates are going to be on, and they're going to be on together for a fraction of a second. So basically what happens is this NOT gate is on and sends out a signal while the island first loads, and then a fraction of a second later it realizes that the NOT gate behind it is on and it turns off, which means a single pulse gets sent through into whatever system you're building, which is not good because it means that every time the island loads, your system is going to get a first pulse through it, and you don't really want that because it's going to mess up all your timings and it might set off circuits that you don't want it to set off and all of that kind of stuff. So what we're doing here is we're adding a little AND gate down, and then once per island you need one NOT gate and one AND gate butted together just like this. So we've got one NOT gate there and one AND gate here, and then what we're going to do for wiring these things together is we're going to wire the NOT gate into both the A and the B of the AND gate here. So basically what this means, when the island first loads up, this NOT gate is going to be off, and it's going to be off for that fraction of a second that this NOT gate over here is on. Which means if we wire this NOT gate into this AND gate, it's going to be off when this is on for that first pulse, which means that this AND gate is going to be completely off because it's going to have one side being on and one side being off for just that first tiny little pulse. So that means this thing is going to be off, and it means there's going to be nothing moving on to the rest of the circuit, and that pulse won't affect whatever you put after it in the circuit. And then, coincidentally, the very next tiny fraction of a second, those roles reverse. This AND gate turns on, this NOT gate turns off, and this stays off. Everything stays off, there is no pulses going through the circuit, and now the system is ready to take your actual pulses that you want, or to create the actual pulses that you want from the inputs and outputs that happen as a player moves around the island and does things that they want. So here we go, I'll just quickly stand on and off this thing, and you'll see we get a pulse there, and we get a pulse there, and everything works exactly as we expect. So yeah, these guys, as I said before, are probably one of the most important little webs that you can know how to build in SkySaga. I almost didn't do a Lumostone build in Alpha 9 without these guys, and I'm sure it's going to happen again in Alpha 10, and we're just going to need these things all the way through. So take some time out, build a couple of these things, make sure you kind of get how they all go down and how they work together and everything like that, because they are going to be very important. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed that one, and I will see you in the next video.